and I always place my ex next to the cup. And what they are doing today, I can't take it. So I have no more vote to give to PPP anymore. I'm not going to vote anymore no more. If they have to lose by one vote, they're losing it by data.
Oh, Jesus Christ, if cost of living double, I don't know what happened. A pound of sugar is $300 already. Flour, everything gone up. Everything just raising. You gotta get about $40,000 for buy good ration. You gotta get 3 man now. A weekend man, a monthly man, and a fortnight man.
Yeah, my name is Jacinty Caldata Francis Vietnam, and since 1965, I become a voter, and I always place my ex next to the cup. And what they are doing today, I can't take it. So I have no more vote to give to PPP anymore. I'm not going to vote anymore no more. If they have to lose by one vote, they're losing it by data. I have.
So you said valid votes counts. Votes cast must.
How old are you?
I am 28, sir.
And where do you live?
In Kitty.
You own your own home?
Not as yet.
Apply for a house lot?
Not.
Well, sit down. You're not participating on the enhancement of your own life. At 28 years, you should be making better life decisions. Think about it. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. A pleasant good evening to everyone. It is now 7:08 Eastern Standard Time here in North America. Good evening to all my brothers and sisters on the ground in Guyana, across the Caribbean. Good evening or good morning to all those in Europe. Pleasant good morning to you all. I know we have a lot of viewers from Paris, France, and London. Welcome to the show. Good evening to everyone in North America also. Welcome to the program. Welcome everyone over to you. And let me just run across quick a few Guyanese villages here. Good evening to the people of Golden Grove, Nabaklis, Aslington, Covan John. Good evening to the people of Victoria, BV Triumph. Good evening, Buxton. Good evening, Melanie, Nomprel. Good evening to all those people, Pleasance. And a pleasant good evening to the guys out at Big Market who watch that big screen out there. They support the show a lot. This show has come a long way thanks to you guys. You guys have built all this show beautifully. Over to You is a show by the people, for the people. I welcome you tonight to tonight's program. Sandra Hanover, good evening. Kevin Coke, good evening. Beatrice Selby, Marilyn Sandy, Denise Beard, good evening to you all. Golly God, welcome. Golly God is in the house. Good evening, my brother. Mr. Colin Barnwell, a pleasant good evening to you. Sandra Price, Sabina Jacobs, good evening. Deborah Clark, a pleasant good evening to you. Patricia Kissoon, Sherry Van Rossum, good evening to you. Christina Lord, good evening. Orwell Don Cook, good evening to you, Miss Cook. How are you doing? Sherwin E. Green, my friend, a pleasant good evening to you. Darkus John, good evening, good evening. Winston Kilkenny, good evening, sir. Ewart Eastman, good evening. Neville Setal, known as Civic. Civic, a pleasant good evening to you. And Civic is a true freedom fighter. Good evening, sir. Harriet Hall, good evening. Rosanna Tobin Kingston, good evening. Robin Morgan, good evening. Maud Oliver, good evening. Welcome to Over to You. Rita Clark, I see you there. Good evening, my sister. Lorraine Nicholas, good evening. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the program. Paulette Hawk Kippins, good evening to you. Welcome to the program. Welcome, everyone. Please like your program. It's your program. Like your program. Share your link. Please share the link. We have a few things that we're going to touch on this evening. Share the link. I know you guys have been missing straight up all week. Well, our CEO is currently attending a very, 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 very important, very, very important and pertinent situation right now, where his son, young Ryan Benchcop, would have graduated with a degree, a master's degree, not a degree. He already has his degree, a master's degree in economics with a minor in philosophy. From where? The highly touted University of Oxford out there in London. So his father is out there supporting him. And I must say, many congratulations to this young man, because this could not have been easy. You know, we all know what his father would have faced, and he would have faced that experience also. He was a young man and had to experience that. But yet, he held his head up and he defied all odds. He took care of all obstacles that was placed before him. And here he is. Here he is, a young academic with a master's degree in economics, with a minor in philosophy. Again, many congratulations to young Ryan Benchcop. Look, the sky is the limit for this young man. And, you know, we need to continue to support our young people. He's got a great support system with his father, Mr. Mark Anthony Benchcop, and his mother, Miss Maria, you know, working behind the scenes, supporting this young man. So again, Ryan, to you, congratulations. The sky is the limit. There are so much, you have so much life ahead of you and so much achievements that, you know, is ahead of you. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into the nitty-gritty here. Let's start off with the opposition. The opposition, well, yes, the opposition, but Mr. Barjagio is saying, I quote, he is saying that the PPPC will win the next general elections in 2025 in Guyana. He didn't just come out and say it though. He gave some supporting details. And that's where the opposition comes in. His words is that they're divided. They're going to stay divided. Okay, the voters have no confidence in the opposition. Well, even if they're somewhat divided, my personal opinion, Wayne Caesar's opinion, I beg to differ. I beg to differ. The voters in Guyana, they are not unlearned. They are not unlearned. There's many programs like this same program over to you. There are many programs, and the people tune into these programs. So let's say to the extent that they were unlearned when it comes to issues across Guyana, these programs would have helped them. They're in tune with what's happening. They have a good understanding of what it is this PPPC install regime is doing. A regime that has gotten the first crack at oil producing Guyana. I would have loved to be leading a government that would have gotten the first crack at an oil producing nation. Because let me tell you something. My government was not coming out of power ever. Okay? Everything starts with the people and ends with the people. It starts with your people. Everything starts with human capital. You could have how much money you want to have. You can have how many machines you want to have. How are you producing? Behind those machines, you must have a human being. I don't care about all the AI. AI can run everything. And you have to tell AI what to do. AI is not a human being. It just don't wake up and write you a letter. Okay? You have to let the program know what it is that you want. You have to be detailed. So a human being is needed. So in whatever business, country, whatever it is that you're doing, human capital should be your number one priority. Barry Jagdeo, your statements, I think your press conference was 3 hours. And it was 3 hours of nothing. You are very, very repetitive in nature. You repeat the same thing over and over again. You never come on to your press conference and speak to the issues. Every time you get on your press conference, you speak about the opposition. What it is about the opposition that is bothering you. You need to come out and you need to be transparent and let the people know what it is about this opposition, this current opposition here, that is giving you sleepless nights. Tell us. Don't be ashamed. You can let us know. So, basically, what Barry Jagdeo would have also said in this statement that he made, if you interpret it true, is that he understands that the PPPC is on the back foot. He understands that they are beatable. All right, so let's lean back over now to the coalition. Mr. Nigel Hughes, Mr. Aubrey Norton, and Dr. David Hines. All parties are doing their work on the ground right now. Some more than others. Right? But we got to understand what this fight is for. This fight is not an individual fight. It's a fight for the people of Guyana. And ultimately what I would say, it is a fight also for humanity in Guyana, because what I see going on in Guyana is worse than animals. You got the most horrible accidents occurring every single week. Every week. Worse accidents. Young people dying right and left. Middle-aged people dying right and left. It was sad to see that former footballer from Linden and his grandson. I was taken back when I saw that little child. These things are very, very, very hard to observe. Very hard to observe. And it continues to happen on a weekly basis in Guyana. Everybody continues to break the law. Lawlessness right and left. And it has become just like some of the North American countries. You got to be careful how you speak to people because you don't know who is carrying a gun. You don't know who is carrying a gun. You don't have the technology and all these things in Guyana. You don't even have the trauma units in Guyana to really deal with a high level of patients coming in with gunshot wounds, amongst other things. You can't even keep the hospitals on the power. Every single hospital in Guyana should have standby generators that provide enough power to power the entire hospital, theater, ventilators. We're an oil-producing nation. We're an oil-producing nation. But our standards are extremely low. And this government continue to posture, and the posture is away from the Guyanese people. They're not doing anything that is favorable to the people. Listen, when you hear about, oh yes, we were in Essequibo handing out this, listen, here. It angers me when I hear, oh, there was three cars with suitcases of money, and that's nonsense. That is utter nonsense. Okay? That is utter nonsense. That is illegal. Because if the government could have police officers bearing arms and large amount of monies in suitcases going to share to citizens, it tells me that I, as a normal citizen, can have in my car a suitcase of money. What are you going to charge me with? Money laundering? You can't, because you do the same thing. I don't care if you're government. It's wrong. It's wrong. There's no law that says that the government have a right to be driving around in cars with millions of dollars. There's no law that says that. But you all are cheap. You all are cheap. The world is evolving and Guyanese is not evolving. Every Guyanese should have electronic banking. Every single Guyanese adult. And then if an adult feels like if he or she needs to open an account for their child, it should also be available. We need to start becoming more computerized. We are not. We need cold storage in Guyana so that we can put our servers in Guyana. Did the Guyanese people ever agree with government that they want their personal information to end up, in a cloud somewhere in China or one of those places? The people never agreed to these type of things. You guys can't just do as you like. That's not how it should be. During elections, you should have all type of surveys on that ballot. from marijuana, and you keep going. How much marijuana an individual is allowed to carry on them, and you keep going along. If you want to talk about abortion rights, all these type of things you can put. You can survey people on how they feel about freedom of speech in your country, because that is something that the PPPC has infringed upon when it comes to the Guyanese people. People are scared to go out and put up their little placard at GCOM. Why? Because, Mr. Caesar, I can lose my job. Imagine that. Imagine that. The government of Guyana, from top to bottom, they are horrible. And likewise, a big chunk of the Guyana police force. I'm not going to say the entire Guyana police force, because there are still some good officers remaining there. But right now, they are subdued. They got to stay quiet and just pick up their paycheck. It's a shame. It is shameful. The Guyanese people are being totally ignored. They work, they pay taxes, right? The taxes go towards keeping the Guyana Defense Force, the Guyana Police Force, the Guyana Fire Service. These are services. We're an oil producing nation. I know everybody talks about the oil deal. The oil deal is something that has to be addressed. Let's all just go ahead and agree on that. Right? The oil deal is an issue that must be addressed. We're going to agree on that. But in the interim, are we not getting billions of dollars from the current deal? We are getting billions of dollars from the current deal that we did not have available to us before. The PPP is going into the Natural Resource Fund, and they are pulling money like money's out of style. Right? They have the majority in Parliament. You can't stop them. They just say, hey, we have a supplementary budget here for this amount. And what? It goes to the floor and it's passed. It's just passed because they have the majority. Total mismanagement of the oil patrimony. Total mismanagement of the oil patrimony. The opposition leaders, the Commonwealth Accord. I know everybody wants to do their work on the ground independently. I cannot disagree with that. I don't think anyone should disagree with that. But like I would have said earlier on the show, this is not about individuals. This is totally about the people of Guyana, or that is what it should be. We should be working in the best interest of the people first, and then everything else after. We cannot go into big offices and sit down with big executives and sit down with big leaders of other countries and be rattled. Because if you're going to be rattled, if you're put in that room, you're going to be rattled, then have me sit there. I'll sit there and speak to every one of them, any one of them. Because this is all about principle. This is all about principle. I'm not here to make a deal. I am here for my people. Whatever deal I make must be beneficial to my people first, and then everything else after. These are the type of positions that we need to start taking. We can't take the position of, oh, I'm about to get rich here. It's not about getting rich. It's not about trying to be like Barajagdio, continuously stuff in his pocket. He's arrogant. Because God forbid today or tomorrow you get cancer, that money can't. Oh, listen, you can use money to get a little bit better care or whatever the case is. But it's not going to cure you. It's not going to cure you. That's why in this life, it is very, very important to be good to people. You take an oath, execute your duties to the people. Don't take an oath and then when you finish, you turn your back on them. Barajagdio totally ignores the Guyanese people when it comes to cost of living. You know why? He has so much. He does not have an understanding. He cannot think poor. He cannot. His conscience, like the old people say, cockroach gone with that. There's nothing remaining there. The PPP supporters are quick to jump up, holler, and scream. But the PPP supporters weren't jumping up, hollering, and screaming under the coalition because nobody was doing them anything. There was no threats. A woman threatened to kill the Honorable David Arthur Granger. What was his response? Leave her alone. He looked at it. He looked at the situation. He said to himself, this is a woman. And he must have also said to himself, you know, everybody have a right to be angry from time to time. And Barajagdio on the PPP, that's the way you all should look at things. Because at this current moment, Guyanese have a right to be angry. Their country has been exporting and drilling for oil since 2020. And the people have not seen anything from that oil patrimony. I know Mr. Nigel Hughes recently would have indicated, and it may be a part of the AFC's manifesto, that his party or a new government, because it's a coalition, so everybody's going to be bringing their manifestos, I would think, to the table, and they will sit down and discuss. You know, you might take part from here, part from there, put it together, and you have an agreement. however they do it on these issues. But I feel cost of living is a massive issue, and housing is the second one. When we talk about the Guyanese people, I want to speak to wages, cost of living, and housing. I think those are the three biggest issues facing the people of Guyana. And then also I'm going to throw education in there. Right? Because if you're rich, or somebody in the States, or somebody willing to sponsor you, you ain't going to university in Guyana. You're not going to university in Guyana. Right? And foresight would tell a high school student if he or she would be able to go to university, because he or she would know their family members, they would know the status of their family from a financial perspective. And they may just be like, hey, you know what? I am going to just, do my CXC and I'm going to just go to work. And that's it. The PPP has never sat down and thought, about how many bright and shining careers they would have ended. They've never sat down and thought about that, because their children are going to air-conditioned schools. Somebody had told me, oh, I was wrong at some point for speaking on rich people and their children being able to go to Queen's College and these type of things. No, I beg to differ. I could never be wrong on that. I could never be wrong on that. Every child should have an opportunity to go to Queen's College. Every child. Once they would have gotten the necessary grades to go to Queen's College, they should be allowed to attend. Every child should be a part of a support system that gives them that opportunity to do excellent. There are some students who are in Queen's College, St. Rose's, the Saints, and these big schools. And there's some kids on the corner that is selling newspaper, have to sell newspaper and go to a normal basic school that is just as smart or even smarter. So let's not get tied up. These big executives in the government, show me one of them that their child goes to a normal school. Show me one of them that their child go to a normal school. If Irfan Ali's son goes to school and the air conditioner is not working and the school is very hot, I am sorry for that administrator and those teachers there, because he's going to give them a good tongue lashing. That's what the PPP is all about. Standards is only important to the PPP. They don't think that standards is important or pertinent to every Guyanese. As soon as somebody, especially Afro-Guyanese, put up a nice, big, fabulous house, the police is there ransacking the people in house. Why? Because it is believed that they would have done drugs to get the necessary capital to build such a nice looking house. Or if somebody is bringing in a fancy car, you charge them so much for that car to clear customs. You guys got to stop these type of behaviors, man. You guys got to stop these type of behaviors. It's not just government members should be able to have a Lamborghini. If somebody work and they have rich family and come on. Come on. Be real here. Barry Jagdeo acts as if the will of Guyana was left to him. Barry Jagdeo acts as if he owned the Guyanese people. Nobody could own people. Are you kidding me? You can't own people. Guyanese, you got to get serious. You got to get serious. You can't got people going up front and doing these jokey oath and taking oath. And then when they finish, they got your own police force abusing and beating up on your children and beating up on you. And dragging people to the station back and forth. Just totally taking advantage. Look what happened to Brother Malcolm Harry Paul. Look what happened to Brian Max. Those are actions of the PPP, whether they like it or not. The PPP is responsible for a lot of atrocities in Guyana. Our late brother, Courtney Crum Ewing, he was a thorn in their side. He was a thorn in their side. And what happened? He was executed by whom? No normal person would execute Courtney Crum Ewing. There's no reason for a normal person to just execute Courtney Crum Ewing. That don't just happen just like that. And to my knowledge, his parents are still alive. And justice needs to be served. A new government go in place. They need to make sure that these cases are reopened. I don't want to hear about we can't find the witnesses and all of this nonsense. And Guyanese, I gotta get strong. Because here, if there are people inside the opposition who is friending with the PPP and is going to throw these cases under the bed or under the rug, then we need to get serious. We need to get radical and formulate our own party and dethrone both parties. Don't feel as if it can't be done. Don't feel as if it can't be done. Anything is possible. We got to get serious. That's it. We have to get serious. No opposition leader just can't walk around with his hands in his pocket and these kind of things. People are punishing. I recall chatting with an individual that is big in the opposition and closely tied with leaders in the opposition. And I was discussing hope. I was speaking of hope for the Guyanese people. And the Guyanese people are laying their hope in the opposition. The person is going to tell me, no, you don't lay your hope in the opposition. You need to have hope. Well, I find that to be utter nonsense. You got to have hope in something. Yes, you can have hope for yourself, but you got to have hope in something. And with what Guyanese are facing right now, where do you want them to put their hope? Their hope have to go into the opposition. It's the opposition that's going to be in the position to bring about change. We got to get serious, extremely serious. We got to get out on the ground. MPs got to do their duties. I don't want to hit out on the MPs. And when I say MPs got to do their duties, I'm not talking about every MP. We got some excellent MPs. And across the board, they are all intelligent. I just want to make that clear. Every single one of them, who is working and who is not working, they are all intelligent. That is one thing I can say about them. They are all well learned. What I need from them is execution across the board, 100%, meaning we are working with 100% efficiency. Not some of the MPs holding out their side of the bargain and then other people chilling out. This is not a hangout. This is not a chill out. This is about executing on behalf of the Guyanese people. This is about taking care of business that pertains to the everyday Guyanese man and woman who is struggling. This is about taking care of our children, whereby 60% of them is experiencing some measure of food poverty or poverty in general. I want to say this to the MPs and even the leaders. Let's not get carried away. Because if the PPP goes back there, whether rig or straight win, and win the election in 2025, the Guyanese people continues to struggle. And you know what? You continue to receive your $250,000 or $300,000 a month. You see, and that is what troubles me. That right there is what troubles me. Because if you're not up to the task, if you can't take the heat that's in the kitchen, then walk out the kitchen. When you walk out, the door is going to open and somebody else is going to walk right in. Right? Because we got to keep things moving here. You can't get up in the morning and feel lazy. When you get up in the morning, you got to think about the people who you should be serving. Got to think about them, man. Our children miss weeks of school. Weeks of school. Because this government would not come to an agreement with the GTU. Right now, everything sits in an impasse. They're at an impasse right now. Nothing is guaranteed to the teachers. What? It's an oil-producing nation. What does government want? I need to get an understanding what it is that government wants. You want the teachers to work for free? Then how are they supposed to take care of their families? How are they supposed to take care of themselves? The nurses too. They're underpaid. They're underpaid. What I find would be very inconsistent and not a good strategic move is for, let's say that the government go ahead and give that raise to the teachers. And soon as the government give that raise to the teachers, then the nurses want to hit the street and say that, you know, nurses and other public servants, that they want a raise too. The teachers are asking for the raise. Everyone should be on the same page. Let's go together. Right? Because you're going to have a pool of money, and that money got to split to the public servants. You don't want all the money to be split and the teachers got everything, and then you come and you ain't get anything, and patients are dying in the Georgetown public hospitals amongst other public hospitals. We don't want that. Public servants across the board, I'm saying this, government needs to take care of them. The Guyana police force, officers should be paid more. And some people may say, well, Mr. Caesar, well, I'm not saying every officer, the good officers on the force. And to the extent there's a new government, officers that would have ill-treat the people of Guyana and have a bad record, they need to be relieved of their duty immediately, with immediate effect. An investigation need to be carried out, and they need to be relieved of their duty. Listen, man, when you take an oath to serve and protect, man, you ain't take an oath to do whatever you want, whatever you feel like doing. You take an oath to the people respect it, man. Respect it. You agreed to a certain salary. You agreed to a certain salary. Then that is the salary you got to come to expect when the month come. You can't flag down the minibus and say, hey, I'm going to park you for the night if you only got 5,000, forgive me. That's not fair. That's not fair. And let's think hypothetically. Maybe it's because of these things that you guys in the Guyana police force does that cause some of these buses and hire cars to speed the way they do. Because they must have something extra to give to you guys. I understand that this is happening all across the board. I understand when the poke knockers are coming out from the interior and all. They got to hand off something. Why? That's hard-earned money. Why? Why? That's my question. Why? That is lawless. And the government is aware of these things. It is lawless. You know, I miss guys like the Honorable Mr. Paul Slow and Mr. Clifton Conway on the Guyana Police Force. That the type of values that those guys bring to the table, you know, it's missed. It's missed. The police officers today, no dignity, no respect, no conscience. They don't care about the people. The people are your clients. Without the people, you don't have a job. And let me be clear. You guys don't work for the PPP. You guys work for the Guyanese people. That's who you should be working for. Not the PPP. The Guyana Police Force is supposed to be independent in both fact and appearance. Where is the independence? And then when talk show hosts, colleagues of mine, Rickford Burke, Mr. Rickford Burke, and these other guys come out and they speak out against you guys, and your name call, your bumps raise up. How are you supposed to just do whatever you want, whatever you feel like, laundering millions of dollars, doing all these type of things that the normal Guyanese people cannot do? Normal citizens cannot do these things. You guys are part of the police force. You guys are supposed to, you know, make sure that there is law and order. And instead of that, you are the same guys that are breaking the law, allegedly. But you don't want anybody to say anything. Nobody must say anything. Y'all shut up, we're police. Once a policeman, twice a citizen. Get that straight. Get that straight. You guys are pushing. You guys are pushing, and this needs to stop across the board. You know why? I'm going to say this to the Guyana Police Force. One of you guys is going to rub somebody the wrong way, and you're going to rub the wrong person the wrong way. And people are going to look across the board and they're going to be like, hey, you know what? We all have families. So there you go. You cannot do these type of things to people. You cannot. You cannot take an oath to serve people. But when you're done, you're bullying them. You're taking their monies. You're threatening them. You're beating them. You can't do that. That's not right. We're all human beings across the board here. You would have just taken a job as a peace officer. to serve the people. I am a normal, let's say I'm a normal Guyanese citizen on the ground. You, police officer, boy blue or whatever your name, you work for me. I don't work for you. You work for me. My hard-earned money that is taxed. You understand me? To take care of you and make sure that you have a salary to receive when the month comes, for serving and protecting me and the neighborhood that I live in. I wouldn't say that I'm super educated on policing. And I'll say this, one weekend, I'll bring Mr. Paul Slow on. It's very, very important that I get Mr. Paul Slow on this program. Because there needs to be reform within the Guyana Police Force. The Guyana Police Force needs reform. What's going on right now is lawless. There's a whole lot of shuffling going on now in the police force. You have an acting commissioner who's way beyond the age of retirement. Way beyond the age of retirement. But you know what? He is there. And you know why he's there? He is there because he agreed to do the bidding of the PPPC. That's why he's there. All right? That's why he's there. The same guy that says that Guyana is 83 square miles. That's why he's there. No. Just through the grapevines, I don't know how accurate it is. I understand that Barry Jagdeo will be making a trip to the United States. I have to see it to believe it. I have to see it to believe it. All right? I believe in fairness across the board. I believe in fairness across the board. Right? And if members of the Guyana Police Force, amongst other places, amongst other areas of government, is going to be stopped at the airport, amongst other places, then that individual that leads them should not be able to travel, because everything starts at the top. It doesn't start at the bottom. It starts at the top with the leader or leaders, however you want to put it. Certain individuals in Guyana were sanctioned, right? It's alleged with relation to, gold being smuggled out of the country and taxes not being levied, the gold is not being reported, leaving the country and all these kind of things. The Revenue Authority and the Gold Board and stuff is not, being kept up with records and of course, taxes are not being levied. That's a violation. I agree. That's a violation. And you bring sanctions against them. That's not too pleasing to Owen Caesar, because Barry Jagdeo is sitting there. That's the biggest klepto right there. So these sanctions against others and giving others a pass, well, you don't know, maybe it's pending. But in this case, I'm going to put the carriage before the horse. It must be done. It must be done. Okay? It must be done. Barry Jagdeo had his run. He have had his run. And his run would have hurt the Guyanese people tremendously. He would have put them like 15 years back. There's a lot of catching up to do. Especially, and I'm going to go there, especially when we talk about Amerindian Guyanese, Guyanese of African descent, Guyanese of Portuguese descent, Guyanese of mixed race, and even some Guyanese of Indian descent, because a lot of them are living poor. We need to get over this nonsense when we go to vote. Oh, I got to vote for a leader that looks like me. No. When you do that, you're acting unlearned. You're acting unlearned and arrogant. Understand the issues. Look at the issues that are affecting you. Vote for the best party that's going to address those issues. You got young children. You want to see them in university. You're renting right now. One, you need a home. Two, you need to make sure that your children can get to university. And it is free. It's the 21st century. Stop the nonsense. Stop the nonsense. Let's move the country forward. It will take all 6 ethnic groups to move the country forward. And to the parties in the opposition, there's a lot of people on the fence. Get the necessary groundwork done. Sell your economic plans to the people. Sell your plans for housing to the people. Sell your plan when it comes to wages to the people. The PPP cannot sell anything to the people. The PPP had 4 years to do that. The people them still getting blackout. They ain't doing anything. There's nothing for the PPP to sell to the Guyanese people. What would you go to a PPP meeting to listen to them try to talk down the opposition? That don't make any sense. When you go to a meeting, you should be addressing issues. Like blackout. Like our hospital systems. When a patient lay down sick, he or she shouldn't have rats crawling all over him or her. Utter nonsense. Again, in an oil-producing nation, a nation that is pulling in billions of dollars that was never available to them before. And the quickest thing people want to talk about the oil contract. I agree with everything. There needs to be a new contract. I agree with that. But come on. What's happening with the money that we're getting now? How many more deadlines we got to see for the school at Bamio? How long have that school been billing, guys? Next year is going to be 5 years? Come on, man. The PPP is too lawless. The spending is like, oh my God, you guys are in overkill when it comes to spending and mismanagement. and the housing authority. A few people have reached out to me. Yes, I had multiple people reach out to me in relation to lands. They had a land, they had a lot before. They presently do have a lot. But you guys gave them the opportunity to purchase a second lot. And they would have paid you for the second lot. And then you came back to them and you said, oh, you already have a lot. You're not allowed to have two lots. There's other people waiting. And what you would have done, you would have taken the lot, but you're not giving back the people their money. You guys are crooks. If I had a second lot, you could have got me a lot once you would have given me back my money. You guys can't do that to people. You cannot do that to people. It is hard to earn money the correct way in Guyana. It is very difficult. It takes a lot of hard work. PPP, you guys don't know anything about hard work. Because all you guys do is steal. That's all you do. Every new building that's going up is either one of you own it or somebody that looks like you own it. Are you kidding me? Are you telling me it is by chance that Guyanese of Indian descent literally owns the whole country? Are you telling me that this just happened, that lightning strike, and it is by chance? Then you guys really have to be speaking to the unlearned for people to believe that. To all the external investors, ExxonMobil, amongst all the others, publicly traded companies, we welcome you to Guyana. We welcome you to do business in Guyana. But you have to make sure that you're doing business with an authentic government. And we ask that you refrain. We ask that you refrain. We respectfully ask that you refrain from getting into our politics. Let's keep it as business. Let's keep it as business. All right? If you're a business with values, if you're a business that have some level of humanity and respects humanity, you would also make sure that there's a government in place that is taking care of the people, that you're extracting oil from their country, that you're doing business with their country. You're going to make sure that there's a good government to also take care of those people. That way, you cover all your grounds and you should be able to have a good night's sleep. Anything else? I can't see you having a good night's sleep, because your conscience shouldn't allow you, to the extent you have one, to have a good night's sleep. Watching, you guys getting these big bottom lines, major earnings, major return on investment, and the people of that nation is living in poverty. Let's start being fair. Let's start operating with some level of integrity. Let's show some values. Let's show some type of love and care. It's not all about money. There is only so much that money can do. There's only so much that money can do. We got to continue to stand strong. Leaders of the opposition, I ask that, you guys really continue to rally your troops, get on the ground, Engage the people. Go into every village. Don't be afraid to go into any village. Go into every village. The PPPC goes into every village. They walk into every village when they feel like, though heavily guarded. There's no need. Listen, if you're doing right by your people, there's no need for you as a leader to be walking around with a firearm, for you as a leader to be, overly, heavily guarded men in arms. No need for that. You would be able to walk amongst the people and mingle amongst the people. They wouldn't do you anything because they are pleased with your service. Barra Jagdeo, you got to stay amongst your henchmen and you got to come on your Thursday press conference and you got to talk down the opposition and you got to ignore the issues that Guyanese are facing. You got to deal with, sometimes I don't know the questions that the reporters ask you from time to time. But you want to have a good press conference, invite Mr. Gordon Mosley and Mr. Travis Chase, and Mr. Enrico Wolford and these guys. Invite them so that you can be asked pertinent questions, with regards to Guyana. Right? You can be asked questions with regards to issues that are affecting the people of Guyana, and not just come for us to discuss and have a beautiful comedy show. This is not comedy. People are struggling, people are suffering, cost of living continues to go up. Only in Guyana. Okay, a lot of countries are now tempering the inflation and they're dealing with the cost of living. The markets are now coming up. I'm very surprised. I am very surprised that I have not seen an increase in the value of the Guyanese dollar. We have gold in our country. We have oil in our nation, but our dollar holds no value whatsoever. We are big. We are a big investment hub. Everybody wants to get into Guyana to invest, but yet our dollar remains valueless. Again, it's called economics, and whatever laws of economics that says that dollar should remain that way, I totally disagree with that. Okay? I totally disagree with that. But Guyanese, I urge you to continue to hold your heads up. Hold your heads up. Get out there on a Tuesday to the extent you can and support Miss Rhonda Lane and the other freedom fighters who is on the ground fighting for that new voters list, fighting for that biometrics. We don't, listen, another thing that needs to happen. People, when they come to vote, should come with a legitimate identification, Guyana identification. Should not be allowed to vote with passports. All right? Everybody should be going out and picking up their identifications. If you don't have one, apply for one. You're a whole year out from elections, unless a snap election is called. And for a snap election to be called, the opposition has to show some tremendous weakness. And to be honest with you guys, I don't foresee that. I don't foresee the opposition showing no measure of weaknesses that can make the PPPC call for a snap elections. Let them do their full time. They want to do their full time, let them do their full time, because that would be it. That will be it. Once we have that new government in 2025 and they execute on behalf of the people, they should be there for a very, very, very long time. Listen, Guyanese have punished for 23 years. They have punished for 23 years. right? They had an economy that was built on drugs, racketeering, corruption, everything. That economy was built for the rich. It was built for the rich. That is how people like Barajak, Dion, Irfan Ali, and these guys would have amassed their wealth during that period. And during these 4 years here, managing oil producing Guyana, they would have given themselves a tremendous step up. Hence the reason I'm asking for comprehensive audits to be done on all parliamentarians. We need to know who owns what. We need to find out how capital was raised. This is where we're going to have our forensic accountants come in and deal with that issue as to how capital was raised. And you need to show cause. You need to show us the reason you were able to do this, build this massive building, own this massive supermarket in Florida, and own all these things. Yes, the word is out there. People own all these assets in Florida. The word is out there that people are spending, during the week, people are spending 3 days in Florida and then coming back to Guyana. All these things are out there. But don't it trouble you that the normal Guyanese cannot even go on one vacation? Don't it trouble you? I know there are Guyanese that were birthed right in that country, that never left the country, never went on a vacation. That's sad. That is sad. I want to take this time to send out a special good evening to Auntie Data and a special good evening to Auntie Vashti. And I might as well add a pleasant good evening to Miss Rhonda Lane. I don't know if she is on tonight. But these women are real fighters. And some of you on this live also, I can't go through all your names. But you guys are tremendous fighters. So are my brothers too that are here. You guys are omnipresent. Every program, you guys are here. Because what? You guys know that it's important that we speak the issues that are pertinent to our country. We as Guyanese, we are not going to just sit down, give up on our brothers and sisters back home, and from a holistic perspective, give up on Guyana. We are going to continue. We are going to continue to be an independent and sovereign nation. Those leaders in the opposition, when it comes time for election, let there be free and fair election. We in Guyana do not want anything called regime change. Because if there's regime change, you could be in there in power doing an excellent job and you're satisfying the needs of certain people. And because of that, regime change again. We don't want that. 23 plus 5 years is enough. Enough is enough. It is time for us to move our nation forward. Guyana belongs to its people and no one else. No one else. Ain't no vice president or anybody own the country or own people. Nobody can own people. Those days are past and they ain't coming back. They are past and they ain't coming back. It's not going to be tolerated, so it ain't coming back. This is a different dispensation of people. It ain't coming back, period. Understand your rights, Guyanese. Understand your right to speak. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you so very much, so very much for joining tonight as we continue to fight, to secure a good life for every single Guyanese. Right? When I come home to Guyana, I mustn't have to bring anything for my brothers and sisters. They must take me out. They must take me out. Because to be honest, you guys are very, very wealthy people. You're just not seeing what belongs to you. Because the government is holding on to it. They're keeping it for themselves. They are sharing it with their big-time investors. Look, the hurricane hit. You see how quick those guys run and give out aid and do all these kind of stuff? Charity begins at home. Where's the aid for the people of Linden? They're still waiting. They're still waiting. When are you guys going to give Guyanese a payout from the oil wealth? It's been going on 5 years. You guys should at least have $750,000 to $1 million available to every Guyanese. What's happening? I guess everybody's lined up behind Jack Dio on what he said. That Guyanese will not be able to benefit from this oil. If I'm not going to be able to benefit from this oil, then nobody don't need to be drilling in my country. Right? It's just like So True Hector and Audrey Brown. They both got a whole lot of mango trees in their backyard. And Wayne Caesar just come and pick the mangoes every day and go down to Georgetown and sell mangoes and make a whole set of money from the mangoes. And then he come back and he just pass them straight. He don't give them anything. Or you coming in my yard and taking what belongs to me. It's being sold. And I'm not getting anything from the profits. That could never be fair. That could never be fair. That's just putting it in a simple equation right there, Jagdio. That's for you. I'm going to make things very simple for you because you just want to come out and use a lot of big words and talk a lot of nonsense. And when you twist and you turn around everything that you would have said, it equals to you being unlearned. That's what it equals to. You being unlearned, trying to use a few big words and wasting the time of the Guyanese people. Guyanese want to talk about issues and they want to talk about how you and the PPPC could solve those issues. But there's no need for you to come and bring that up now because it's too late. Your time is just about running out now. Your time is going to be up. It's going to be elections just now. Ladies and gentlemen, let's settle for change. Let's make change come about in 2025. Join Rhonda Lane and the others in front of GCOM to make sure that that apparatus is running correctly. And to the people of GCOM, Claudette Singh amongst others, please make that change. Bring about free and fair elections in Guyana. You're sick. Give up the post. Give up the post. Give it to somebody else. Because your decision does cause a lot of children to go to bed hungry. Your decision, Ms. Claudette Singh. Guyanese, I want to thank you guys for joining. Thank you very much again. Over to you, a program by the people, for the people. It's your program. To all of you, I say, enjoy the rest of your weekend. Again, if you're going to be out, be careful. Be conscious of your surroundings. You're going to hit the highways. Please be careful. Don't just drive for yourself. Drive for others. I want to see all of you right back here next weekend as we have another program next weekend. I want to see all of you guys. Be good, guys, and I should see you guys on Straight Up this week. Okay? Have a good evening, everyone.